Okay, welcome to the CineFiles. I'm Edwin Samuelson. Today we're going to be discussing the Predator trilogy. That is Predator 1, 2, and Predators. We're not talking about Alien vs. Predator 1 or 2 because we discussed them on other shows. But let's start off with Predator, gentlemen. Predator, now, of course, was made in 1987. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger's second venture into sci-fi after the Terminator. And it's perhaps one of his most loved roles. It started off the career of John McTiernan, who went on the next year to direct Die Hard. Now, a Predator, everyone knows the story. A commando unit is sent into the jungle to eliminate some kind of terrorist.
Contras.
Contras, which were back in the 80s. Everyone remembers the Iran-Contra thing. Back in the 80s, they were very big. Anyway, they go into the jungle, and they are hunted down by an alien creature who
is basically a hunter, a big game hunter.
That was the original title of the movie. It was called The Hunter, and the writers, Jim and John Thomas, went on to write a lot of other films. This was a hot script. I believe they said the genesis of the film was when they heard about Rocky 4 or 5 coming out, and they said, wow, how many people has Rocky fought? How about somebody from outer space as a joke? And that's how the movie supposedly became got made. However, I don't accept that because there was a film made in 1980 called Without Warning, which is directed by Graydon Clark with Martin Landau, Jack Palance. There's your loser actor bouquet.
Jack Palance.
Yeah, I love it. And it was a very low-budget film about a alien from outer space who hunts. And you know what's so funny? Do you know who played the alien? Kevin Peter Hall, who played the alien in Predator. And do you know who played
I wish it was Richard Lynch, to be honest with you.
Everybody, what is it with you with Richard Lynch? What is the obsession?
Can you imagine Richard Lynch chasing you around with a gun or a machete?
You know, I'd love to see. I'd love to see like a Photoshop picture of Richard Lynch's face just over Mike's body. You know, that'd be great.
How about Richard Lynch next to me and I could be like this?
Stop waving that piece of junk at me.
Anyway, the original Predator, believe it or not, was shot with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Do you know he originally played the Predator, and they fired him after in the middle of?
But he's 5'6".
I know.
How is that convincing to be a the Predator? Because the Predator, the actor that plays him, is 7 feet tall practically.
Well, that's what happened. Is that they shut down production. They said it wasn't working out. Van Damme complained about the suit. In fact, Jesse the Body Ventura, or the Governor Ventura, is in it. Talked about what a dickhead.
I don't have time to bleed. That was Jesse the Ventura's big quote.
Which is also the name of his autobiography. Do you consider this more a science fiction film or an action film?
More of an action film, but it's got wonderful sci-fi tropes in it that you have to appreciate, and it's a fun film. It's I don't think I like it as well as something like Aliens, which came out at the same time. I think Predator was 86 and
87, but it was filmed.
Yeah, same year. But still, it's a lot of fun. It takes itself pretty seriously, which I enjoy. I like when you have these films that are probably easy to satirize down the road, but when they come out and they take themselves seriously, it's a lot of fun. Of course, you have little elements that Schwarzenegger inserts, little bits of humor, but not as much as his other films. Great supporting actors, Carl Weathers, Bill Duke. Bill Duke is great.
Bill Duke is great. I love the image of him constantly dry shaving himself.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought that was a really unusual character trait. I love that. I don't know where he came up with that. He's shaving.
Bill Duke's just a great actor, so you could tell that was something that I think McTiernan allowed him to play with, and to have him dry shaving with the razor over and over again. Who's the Indian?
Oh, don't forget, that's that porno actor, Sonny Landham, who was also in 48 Hours.
Sonny Landham, great performance there.
Yeah,
especially he has the ultimate macho standoff where he takes the knife to carve it to show that he's creating this barrier, and then 2 seconds later the alien has his head, and
also
a great alien design too.
Well, you know what's so funny? Don't forget too. Also, Shane Black, the writer, was cast in the movie because they wanted him to rewrite the script and he didn't want to, so they said they flew him down as an actor just in case they needed a rewrite or something, and he decided to do it. He's a lot of fun. You know, he's played the typical nerd character.
Well, he's the first guy that gets killed?
He's the guy with the glasses on who's saying about the pussy jokes.
Yeah,
funny. But it's funny about the Predator. You're talking about the makeup. Do you know that they actually shot for a long time, and then they saw the special effects and they were so awful they went to Stan Winston, and so all the Predator stuff you see is all reshoots. The original Predator design is terrible. In fact, if you look at the DVD, the creature is there. It looks nothing like.
What does he look like?
He looks like a bug. It's really terrible. I mean, you see it and you go, this is never going to work. But what's so funny is they, like I said, they went to Stan Winston because of course of Alien and his creature designs, and he designed the Alien. In fact, Jim Cameron's the one who gave him the suggestions for the mandibles and the dreadlocks because he was listening to a lot of Jamaican music, he said, and that's what gave him the influence.
Who came up with the weapons?
I believe that was also Stan Winston as well. The weapons are very unique, and also the jungle setting, I think, is the biggest asset to the film. Because the predator can blend in with the jungle, and being hunted in the jungle is very creepy.
I was going to say that Predator is, talking about just the film as a film, is sort of one of those, I wouldn't say it's underrated because there are a lot of fans of the film. I think there's enough fans of the film where you can't really accuse it of being underrated, but I think it's one of those sort of unsung science fiction action films that came out at a time when you had Aliens and all these other films coming out. And it's actually a very effective action sci-fi thriller piece. And I think and there's some very solid work in there from Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think.
Yeah, especially he's very acting, I mean, that stuff with him in the jungle
There's
with the
stuff
mud.
in there where he looks believably scared. And it's a great concept for a sort of antagonist creature, this thing that can, blend in camouflage like with its surroundings, and it's just there to hunt. It's just there to find the most dangerous game, and this time it's human beings. And it's a very tight, enjoyable action thriller.
Predator is a great movie. In fact, what I like about it most, like I said, is Arnold Schwarzenegger is a lot of fun to watch. And like you said, he even talked about, they said they shot the scenes of him in the mud for 3 weeks. So he's believably tired and exhausted, and it comes off very well on screen. It's very
Schwarzenegger is very expressive with his eyes towards the end when he's doing battle, especially when he is in the mud, because you're really just focusing on those eyes, and he's very, very, very expressive with those.
I would say this is his best role outside the Terminator. This one or maybe Total Recall.
Well, he does, and they do. I mean, going back to the
I don't know.
To the concept
the
of the Predator. It's
saying not including Terminator.
I like the thought that they put into the Predator as an antagonist too, not just the technological stuff like the ability to camouflage itself, but I like how it mimics voices and uses that technology to its advantage.
That's very disturbing.
And it also becomes very creepy, really authentically creepy, especially at the end.
When he uses the Sonny Landham laugh. That is very disturbing. And by the way, the gore in this film is really pretty out there. When I saw it in the theater, it freaked a few people out when they had to walk out. Today, it probably looks pretty tame, but back then it was pretty gory.
Well, yeah, ripping the skulls and the spines out of the backs. Yeah.
Yeah, and when Jesse Ventura gets completely cut in half with the gun, it's pretty disturbing. It's a pretty good movie. I still like it.
Yeah, because when Jesse Ventura gets initially hit by the cannon on his shoulder, by the way, that the Predator's weapons are almost Bond-like, to be honest with you, because it's all these gadgets all over him. Who knew that he had
Alien James Bond?
Who knew that he had like a several megaton bomb on his wrist, or the shoulder cannon, or the net that comes and will capture you. Yeah. And then he's walking around with a simple spear, but somehow that works too.
Well, it's a great movie, and thankfully it got John McTiernan in Die Hard, which is his best film, and he directed a few other films. But
and then from there on,
crap. Well, he went to jail. He's in jail now. So, anyway, let's go on to the sequel, which is Predator 2, which is directed by Stephen Hopkins. This is the second time Fox would pull a director from a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. They got Rennie Harlan from Nightmare on Elm Street 4 to direct Die Hard 2, and they said, well, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, that's pretty creative. Let's get this guy to direct Predator 2. The script was written again by Jim and John Thomas, and let me tell you, I hate this film. I think it sucks.
I think it is probably, for my money, one of the most disappointing sequels in history.
How you felt about Alien 3? You know how you felt about Alien 3? That's how I felt.
Well, that Aliens 3 is the most disappointing sequel in history for me. But Predator 2, right up there.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Now I'm going to cut in and say I think it's a very underrated film.
Okay.
How so?
Okay, what the fuck is in your phone?
I resaw it recently. It's actually fairly recently. It was on TV like about a month ago. And I was surprised. I was like, you know what? If you just forget that it's a sequel to Predator, or it's meant to take place in that universe, on its own, it's a very, very entertaining film. I mean, it does everything you want a film like that to do. It's also brings it into a different. To me, a sequel shouldn't be a remake of the first part.
I'll give you that.
At least it puts it in a unique situation.
An urban environment instead of a jungle.
If I have one issue with the film, it is supposed to take place in the near future.
1997, I believe.
And the clothes they have everyone wear and stuff like that.
Are very 80s.
Right. it dates in that way, but you know what? I think Danny Glover's great in it.
Oh, I disagree.
I think
I
think he's very
terrible
entertaining.
choice
When was the last time you
for
saw it? I'm just curious.
I just watched the Blu-ray not too long ago.
Because I found myself surprised actually having re-seen it. Was like, you know what? I remember not liking this at all when it first came out.
I hated
And
it.
this actually isn't as bad as I remember it being.
I saw it in the theater. It came out in Thanksgiving of 1990. As you said, the feature, I understand why they moved it to LA because they wanted to do something different than the original, which I give them props for. However, my problems with the movie are, of course, why does it have to be the near future, which I think is stupid because it's obviously the 1980s. Well, it's 1990, but it looks like the 80s. You have Morton Downey Jr. in the movie, and it was just in there because he was famous at the time. He's all right.
Barely in it.
He's in it. But then also, they couldn't get Arnold Schwarzenegger back. So they decided to rewrite it for Danny Glover, who was hot off the Lethal Weapon films, and he's playing the Lethal Weapon type character that he did in the other movies.
His hero is very clunky in the film. Very clunky. Now you could say, well, this kind of turns the convention of the macho action hero on its ear a little bit.
That's the way I kind of saw it.
But it's uncomfortable after a while.
Because I didn't mind. I liked that he was playing that part rather than go to another go-to action guy to play that part. Because he made it. I thought he made him a little more human.
That's what I didn't like, though.
And that's what I liked
he still was
about it.
trying to play the action guy, though.
I bought into that before I saw the film, and I thought that was inspired, even though at the time I wasn't using terms like inspired when I was talking about movies, but now I am. But I thought that was inspired, but towards the end, it just becomes very, just like I said, clunky, a little bit labored.
I should also say, I don't love the film.
You enjoy it.
I just enjoyed it a lot.
You think
more
it's
than
better
I thought
than
I
what
would.
it was originally?
I think that it's had enough distance. It's been out long enough, and I would just say that a lot of people I think hated it more because it was a sequel to Predator,
and it wasn't as good
and
as
if
the
you just
original.
take it on its own, I think you could. I mean, it's a lot better than a lot of stuff that was coming out by Canon. At the time.
Hey, I love
stuff
Canon
like that.
films. I think they're more entertaining.
Like
Here's my problem with the film.
I Come in Peace.
I like I Come in Peace.
That was actually fun.
That's a fun movie, man.
I mean, it is a fun movie,
That was
but
fun.
I think Predator 2 is a much better film.
Talk about
I Come in Peace is a
talk
fun
about your atypical hero, Brian Benben.
He's
for fuck's
better. He's
sake.
more believable than freaking Donnie Glover in that movie. That's the problem I have.
Brian Benben isn't really. He's more like the
sidekick.
Yeah, disposable sidekick.
But he doesn't get. I love that movie, by the way. But my problem is, like you said, Danny
And
Glover.
you go in pieces.
I love that. I have that on DVD, by the way.
Okay, now here's my 2 cents on Predator 2, and it's kind of I want to. Eric is giving this film a much more fair
I'm
shake
shocked.
than either one of us
I thought
would.
you'd rip it apart.
But this is what got my goat when I first saw the film. And this is why I kind of dismissed it after that. I felt like plot-wise, it didn't make that much sense. Like the little stuff, things like Predator and Aliens. One of the reasons why these films, one of the reasons why these films in particular work so well is they do the big stuff well and they do the little stuff well. Like the little details. Like for instance, in Aliens, space age Reeboks. Ripley is wearing space age Reeboks, and there's other like little details in there. You're like, something, the director gave a shit enough to put in these little details, and it solidifies or mortars the building of the big structure of the film. And I felt like in Predator 2, they fucked up the little things over and over and over again.
Like what?
Like, for instance, they brought in the character of Bill Paxton, who could have been a very interesting character, kind of the hot dog cop, but he was brave. They eliminated him like after 5 minutes.
But he was annoying. He came off as just a male chauvinist pig in the movie.
He was, he's a big flaw in the film.
But you could have
it longer than just 5 minutes.
It felt really short, but to me, you could have really played with his dynamic and a lot more than just having him killed in the subway.
And you have Maria Conchita Alonso.
Maria Conchita Alonso, there was another character that was, once the Predator saw she was pregnant, that all of a sudden made the Predator more noble because he wasn't going to kill somebody that was not directly involved with this hunt. And part of it was clever, and part of it was like, well, who cares? And then you get that character off. What was the need of having the Bernie Getz character on the train? That was one of the most ridiculous.
I would say the
time capsule.
There are big. I will agree with this. There are big issues with the script. The script does seem lazy.
It was
seems like it had
lazy.
like a really good idea, but they rushed it.
There's no plot. That's the problem.
What about this is another thing that bothered me. First of all, the Rastafarian Jamaican gang lord that is in the car. Why are they playing rap music when it's clear that these guys are Jamaicans? At the time, I didn't know a lot of Jamaicans were listening to gangster rap, which, being a music fan at the time, it didn't make any sense. But why would the Predator go after the old man? Is the Predator fully aware of LA gang culture that he can go
I
after
think
the leader?
idea was that they decided the ultimate hunt for them was to go off like gang leaders in L.A.
But how did
and
the
the thing
Predator
was especially in
know?
the near future enough that this is a major issue in the near future where the whole town is
But
overrun with this kind of
no,
thing.
but don't you think that it's
Like
a little
turkey
silly?
shoot for predators. I'm not defending the decision.
But the
to do
Predator's
it, but-
supposed to do his research on who's the gang leaders there in Los
Well, I don't
Angeles.
know how much research
He
you
reads
can
the
do
news- he
on,
reads the
on,
daily- he
on
reads the-
Planet Predator. I don't know how much like
He reads the newspaper.
books they have there on the history of American of Earth gangland culture.
This guy seems like, because it's very clear the rules were written in the original Predator. These guys had guns. These guys were soldiers. These guys were fighting. Thus, these guys became game. How do you section out the gang leader, whose really only weapon was the cane sword, and he had to draw it at the end when the Predator's coming up to him? So it's not like, now granted, if this guy pulled his cane sword and was just walking around waving it randomly at people or tried to stab other gang members, that would
This
make
is just
sense.
such a piece of shit
Well,
movie.
well,
It's
it
terrible.
was an undeveloped idea. You know,
Here, I'm going to tell you what I hate about this film. I got to put in my 2 cents here. Like I said, Danny Glover is one of the biggest problems I have in the movie. You said he's not supposed to be the macho cop, but the way he plays it, he's trying to be the macho cop. And when he talks to himself nervously, that's one of his trademark, his habits in the movie. It just comes off as really unnatural, not very believable. He's talking to himself and whatever. And also, why does it need to be set in the near future? That's my problem. Like you said, it just should have been set in current day because that, like you said, the 80s thing doesn't work.
because I think they needed to build up. I think they needed the whole. Why would the Predators be there in modern day LA? They need to be there at a time when like the gangs are really taking over.
Well, they could.
And so to put it in the near future.
And Gary Busey. And the Gary Busey
Plus,
subplot.
they also wanted. You want to be
remember
really
that part.
cynical. They were probably already decided then there's going to be some down the road, some tie-in between Predators and aliens, and they wanted to make close enough in the near future that it could be close enough.
That
to
was
the near
the
future
kind of the only like little neat thing they did was
Where
getting
you
him
saw-
on the ship and the
yeah.
alien skull.
And hey, look, I'm not. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm saying that I remember hating the film when I saw it, and I saw it recently. I was surprised at how much I was entertained by it. I didn't hate it as much as I thought, but I still don't think it's a good film.
Very freaking gory movie. By the way, it went back to the MPA like around 10 times to get recut because that scene with Terry Weigel, with the drug dealer getting all shot up, that's pretty disgusting shit. Also, like I said, the subplot with Gary Busey, I really didn't like. Of course, that's coming. He's the government agent who's there to hunt.
Yeah,
that was
they
supposed to be Arnold
kinda
Schwarzenegger's character. That's supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they rewrote it for that.
Well, they kind of messed that up. They were going somewhere that was kind of interesting, where you would
Gary
think,
Busey and Schwarzenegger.
yeah. Well, that's when Gary Busey was still sane, somewut.
I don't think
that
so.
was before the motorcycle
Yeah,
accident.
Yeah, that's before he sort of lost.
It was off Lethal Weapon, so that's why he got it.
But they decided to go to a cliche route with that. Instead of making them like at some point there's got to be these two characters are going to have to work together and respect each other, the Danny Glover and Gary Busey character. But they have to keep pushing the cliche. No, they got to be antagonistic, and of course Gary Busey gets it in the end for being the stupid one.
It just doesn't work. It just does not work. I think, like I said, it's lazy writing, especially the ending with the Gary Busey stuff. It's just everything you've seen out of Screenwriting 101. Okay, let's just get this guy, the government agency in. Of course, they're not going to get along.
Yeah, but it's no. But again, I'm not defending the picture. How's it any less lazy than half the shit that came out by Canon, half the shit that you see direct?
Canon shit's fun.
Well, if this was a Canon film. Honestly, if Danny Glover wasn't a name, and it wasn't a sequel to to an incredibly successful film, and it was produced by Canon, I guarantee you wouldn't be harshing on it.
I guarantee.
I
you're probably
guarantee
right.
you.
I probably wouldn't be. It was this one I had high expectations for because it was a sequel to a great movie. But all right,
It was a lazy film.
It's a lazy film. I
agree
think
with
it's
that.
the worst film in the series, as far as I'm concerned. All right, well, let's.
know about that.
We'll find out in a minute. Anyway, let's. After Predator 2 came out, it really didn't do that well. So for a long time, they were, debating whether or not to make a Predator sequel, and they decided, maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. There were many drafts written. In fact, one of the drafts was written by Robert Rodriguez right after he made El Mariachi, and it took a long time, but it finally came out.
Well, first off, we are intentionally avoiding the AVP movies, Alien vs.
I
Predator,
mentioned that when we
and
started.
AVP Requiem, because we already mentioned a previous
Those are
episode.
not part of the Predator franchise, are concerned. They're spin-offs. But the sequel is Predators, which was produced and written by Robert Rodriguez, and it was directed by Nimrod something. I forgot his name, but he's
Nimrod
a Nimrod.
Atal.
Yes, Nimrod Atal, who did a movie that I kind of enjoyed, even though it's fucked up, which is Vacancy. It's a fun B movie, but of course studio reshoots, ruin the movie. But let's go into Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody's in it. As the
And
leader.
that, to me, is the first mistake of the film.
I couldn't agree more.
Adrian Brody is, I wish Hollywood would figure it out. He's not an action star. He's a great actor for what he does in certain things, but to me, he's not an action star.
I don't disagree. I'm not. I'm sort of defending the decision. The cast, they want to get a good actor, as opposed to just an action star.
Dude, he's got Christian Bale's Batman voice throughout the film.
Well, that
And he has Jimmy Durante's
and
nose.
He still looks skinny as hell.
I know.
But
I know.
But even that, I wouldn't have had an issue. But my biggest issue with the film, honestly, is that it's Predator. It's Predator. I mean, I think you think that all this time the script was sitting around gathering dust for the longest time.
It was.
Finally, they're going to greenlight it. Robert Rodriguez is presenting his take on Predator. This will be an official sequel, and it was the exact same film.
And
as
he's
the
such,
first one.
and he's so busy that he can't direct the damn thing himself.
And also, the film, to me, I felt kind of cheated because it's supposed to take place on the Predator's planet, which is probably shot somewhere in the wilds of Vermont.
That's what pissed me
I
off.
mean?
Yeah.
It didn't look. There was nothing alien-looking about it. There was nothing exotic about it.
Well, I agree with you completely, because that was my thing, is that you've only seen the Predator planet once, and it's only for a quick second in that Alien versus Predator 2. It's a quick shot of the alien planet. I was really hoping they would go to the alien planet. This one is the alien planet, but like you said, it just looks like a big, it's like one of those holodeck rooms where, it's just a little space in the middle of somewhere
Half the time I couldn't even figure out if it was truly the alien planet or if it was, like they said, a giant game reserve. I kept thinking, okay, so this is a separate planet where they drop off everybody. This is like the ultimate hunting ground. Are they originally from this planet? I could never figure that out.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I could never figure it out. So I don't. That's actually a good point. I'm not even sure they were on the Predator's planet or just on a different
Well,
planet.
that's the thing is-
it was not supposed to be Earth, though.
No.
That's the whole point.
It was all speculation by the characters. They never know where they are. Of course, the Predators don't speak with subtitles, so we
Right.
don't know what the fuck's happening with that. What I do like, I will give credit on the one thing. I like how the people just wake up and have no idea where they are, and they're all these people that have some kind of...
Cube.
Yeah, of course. That's why I
Yeah.
like it.
I mean, it's not an original concept.
Predator meets Cube.
My biggest problem with the film is Topher Grace. Now, I love that each character on the planet has some kind of, violent history. One could be a soldier, one is a prisoner, one is this.
Yakuza.
Yeah, and of course, Topher Grace goes, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I'm here. And of course, at the end when they do the reveal, it comes off as really lame.
It's very forced.
It's just
He was
really
the
lame.
wrong, the lead, the skinny superhero. Topher Grace is completely miscast.
Well, the thing was is that they wanted the Predators wanted to gather the most dangerous human beings on Earth.
Topher
and
Grace
hunt
is
them,
really
right?
dangerous.
And it's and that's the thing. I'm sorry, just because you're a serial killer doesn't
Oops.
necessarily make
Spoiler.
you dangerous. Oh, who gives a shit? Makes you dangerous to a. I mean, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a challenge to hunt you, especially in an environment that serial killer is not.
Well, they might as well
accustomed to
brought
being.
Dexter to the planet too.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like what.
That I would love to see.
It's like, okay, Hannibal Lecter it's going to be easy for Hannibal Lecter to elude these guys who are good at human hunting.
And what you're saying is completely right. The goal was to have the Predators bring this group of the quote-unquote world's most dangerous humans onto this game world. But these are the least impressive, most dangerous humans I've ever seen. One's a girl, so you get the female element. She's a Contra or some sort of a gorilla.
And you got a Yakuza guy.
A Yakuza guy.
And Danny Trejo, who I love, who's he's wasted in the movie.
Yeah, and he's a drug...
He's like a cartel guy or something.
Yeah, cartel guy. And I'm thinking, this is the...
He's basically playing the Sandy Landham, the Indian character from the first Predator movie. With the chant, the praying.
What do
all
we
that.
think of Lawrence Fishburne?
Oh, Mr. Fishburne.
I actually thought that plot was the most interesting part of the
That
film.
was interesting, but then
he didn't pull it off though.
I thought Lawrence Fishburne became a little hammy.
Yes.
For my blood.
A lot hammy.
Well, okay, I'll say it too. A lot hammy. Where it just totally took me out of the film.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I liked what they did with that character by making him the traitor, but there was parts where Lawrence Fishburne doing insane like he's doing insane really needs to go back to drama school or something, because it wasn't very good.
It's just I felt like he was on a break from CSI, and he's just like, oh, okay, I'll do this, and he just went in there and he's just playing this cliche character, and the way he does it is just so poor, especially when you see the dark side of him. You know, find out he's the traitor. I was like, are you kidding me? It's really poorly acted. However, I like the idea of the character. Like you said, I think the idea of the character is great.
I like the idea of the character, but then there's like certain like plot holes there too. Like, how long did he say he was on that planet?
Without food.
And why didn't the Predators figure out he was in that structure all that time? You know, there's like little things like that. It might have been explained, but I don't remember. I mean, having said all that, we got all of our criticisms out of the way. I will say that Predators is not a bad film.
It's better than the second
It's just an underwhelming film to me.
Yeah,
it's disappointing.
It's watchable.
I think the second one at least has some camp value to it that makes it entertaining to me anyways, whereas Predators is trying very hard to be an important movie, action film, and it falls short.
I gotta say, the CGI is not that good in this.
Not that good. But
And I thought to myself, the best you can do on CGI are these like vampire boars or whatever they are. These like
the weird kind of hunting
rhinoceros.
creatures.
Yeah, those weird hounds. They're hounds.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, if you're on a deadly world, why don't you put in some more deadly? If you're gonna go CGI crazy, throw in some more crazy crap.
I do hope they make another sequel to this film, like the Predator series, because I really think the only way they continue this though is they have to go to Predator Homeworld.
I'm just going to say something. Why do you hope they do another? I mean, does it really? I mean, there's only one really good film in the series, and that's Predator. Shouldn't we just leave it at that?
I would like to see the Predator Homeworld. I think it'd be kind of interesting and unique.
But we haven't had. No one's done a good sequel yet. So what makes you think that's going to be any better?
Hopefully, someone will.
I don't think Predators did
I just
that
never
well
thought
at the box
Predator
office.
warranted a franchise, tell you honestly. I don't think it's a franchise type of movie thing. I think the first one is fine. You know, I don't know why.
You guys are going to hate me saying this, but I think AVP has more fumes than a Predator by itself. And that's not saying much.
Yeah, I just don't see what else there is to do. Nor am I like, I mean, I love the first Predator film. I'm just not crying out for like a sequel. You know, I'm not excited about seeing where it goes beyond that.
They showed it in that movie.
I can picture them as like nomads.
No, they lived in a nice futuristic planet and all that, and it was pretty cool actually. Because don't forget they have all this technology and shit, so they might be able to do something. They're like this smart alien from Aliens. You know, they have they're technologically advanced. That's why I'd be interested in seeing it.
I just don't see. It's just me. I'm not putting down anyone else's desire to see sequels to Predator. I just don't see it.
I just love the original characters. Like Mike and I both love the Terminator and Aliens because we love the character, and you know. We love the series. You know?
Well, Dark Horse, which is a comic book company, did something really wild back in the 90s. They put out a comic, and I think it was 4 issues long, or 3 issues long. It was Aliens versus Predator versus Terminator.
Oh, I do remember that.
And if you're going to do something like that, just balls to the wall. Do something crazy like that. And put somebody in charge like Rob Zombie and just do some crazy shit.
Anybody but Rob Zombie, please.
Hey, I think Rob Zombie can be a hell of a director if he gets out of his whole serial killer shtick that he's doing right now. I think if you watch The Devil's Rejects, I think there's a very talented person there.
Watch the show. I already summed up my thoughts in that piece of shit. Anyway, let's.
So that's the be-all and end-all with Mr. Samuelson on Rob Zombie.
Rob Zombie cannot sing. He cannot write music. He can't direct.
You guys agree that if you're going to be bringing this franchise back, just fucking do it with throw in the Terminators, throw in some aliens.
I'll do it. Go for it.
Just make it.
Throw in Christian Bale's Batman. Just put it all out there. Everything.
Go for it.
Every fucking franchise character thrown in it. James Bond, throw James Bond in there.
They did do a Batman versus Predator.
That's right.
There we go. So, anyway, we've rambled enough. The best movie in the series is Predator. I'm sorry, not Predators. Predator. The best movie in the series is Predator. Predators has its moments. Predator 2 I don't like. Eric has already summed up he kind of likes Predator 2. And Mike, I think, already agrees Predator 1 is the best.
It's a very lazy film.
Exactly. All right,
Lazy and disappointing.
Of course, don't forget to visit us on the Facebook discussion page. Please post the show around your Facebook wall, promote us, and add us on Facebook as your friend.
Oh, make sure you check out Jeff's show, Unfinished Business. Jeff.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Our fellow cinephile.
Jeff, where you can actually see him talk.
Yeah, he has his own segment. And by the way, he loves viewer responses, as do we. So if you have an idea, if you want to ask us a question, please submit a question through YouTube video. All right, thank you. I'm Edwin Samuelson, and this was the CineFiles. All right, we want to go on to the...